Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Coach Red, where we bring you all the news, stories, takes, and opinions about your favorite teams from the Pacific North, fresh from the good to the bad to the Mariners.
The sweet, sweet Mariners, baby.
We'll take a T on the Mariners talk right now. As promised, some more mock drafts coming in hot and heavy. NFL draft is next Thursday. So, in anticipation for that, we'll have our final mock coming out next week. But to tide you over, and we have not done as many mocks as we have traditionally done. Thanks a lot, Seahawks,
Yeah,
Mariners, and um,
hard to do mock drafts when
my
the
daughter,
Seahawks
my
are.
daughter's weekend sporting schedule, not being able to watch as many college football games, so not being able to dive as deep. But we are going to do a Seahawks only mock. We're going with just the picks they currently have, which currently sits at four. So not a lot of options out here. I mean, there are for the picks, but with only four picks, it's not going to be the longest episode in the world, but we're going to make it nice, interesting, go pretty in depth on the four guys that I have outlined here. But before we do that, why don't I tell you a little bit about us? If you're looking for a guy that is a John Schneider architect type guy, I'm gonna build this team. I'm gonna fill some holes. I'm gonna I'm gonna go back to some of my old tendencies, and then I'm gonna figure out some things that I think can play pretty well. Just really constructing a roster, if you will. If you're looking for a guy like that, you're looking for a guy like me, your boy Coach Red. You can find me on X at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, leave a comment or two. And if you're looking for a guy that I'm gonna harken this back, if we're talking college football and mocks, and especially these names, not necessarily in his wheelhouse. There's a old YouTube video called Nature Walk, where these guys go out in nature and just go, "Oh, how neat is that? That's pretty neat." I figure that's similar vibes to what we're gonna get on this episode from your boy Kane.
Yep, I'm Kate. Find me over on Twitter, Kate2406, TikTok, Kate0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. False, false, false. Do it.
Just
Yeah.
waiting
Also,
for you to
sorry for
go.
not getting. Huh?
Yo, go ahead.
Sorry for not getting mocks out. Hard to do it when the Seahawks win the Super Bowl.
And they don't have a lot of picks, so it takes a little bit out and not knowing as much of the college landscape. But I'm ready for you to be like, oh, that player seems pretty neat. How neat is that? You
I
know,
mean,
I,
sure,
I
but
think those vibes are coming.
just don't agree. We have a difference of opinion for the first round pick, and that's fine. You may sway me with your words, cool, but I
I
still
mean,
think at the end of the day, our opinions are gonna differ.
they are, and that's the whole thing about mock season is there's very few unanimous mock drafts. When you even look at it, even in the top five, how many
Mhm.
people can nail the top five even? It's tough. And when you get down into 32, where the Hawks are going to pick first, there's a lot of variables that go in this. And I did a few simulated mock drafts, and for the most part, there were times where some of these guys were available in the spot where they were drafting and some they weren't. I went with kind of majority rules. I could have just sat here and put all the hopes and dreams and the best case scenario on people sliding that I don't necessarily think will. But I wanted to go a little bit different, get a little bit creative, address some holes. And as Kate
Dip
said,
in the
this,
well a little bit.
well, and as you said, this is all me
Bolts.
putting together the mock on this one
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because you could probably nail a guy in the first round, but I think going deeper into this draft would probably be a little difficult for you.
Yeah.
So I took the bull by the horns and, did fall back on my watchability of Washington football and have a couple of picks in there for it because, I mean, I also thought it was good value, but I digress. Let's start round one, pick 32. Cade, who do I have the Seahawks selecting?
Gabe Jackus, edge out of Illinois.
All right. So Gabe Jackus is 6'4", 260 pounds. Plays more of the outside linebacker edge rush role. Can drop into coverage a little bit if you want. Last year's stats: 43 tackles, 11 sacks, 14 TFLs, and three forced fumbles. That's all in the Big Ten. And when you look at where the Hawks have had some success is drafting defensive players out of the Big Ten. You look at recently departed Boye Mafe, was kind of a guy that was later to football, was seen more as a run stuffer than an edge rusher, and they were able to develop that up. And the guy gets ends up getting paid by the Bengals, right? You look at Spoon, a guy that is also from Illinois. Illinois has produced some pretty solid NFL players, and it's mainly more in the secondary. But you also throw in the likes of like the Lions. Kirby Joseph was
Mhm.
a Illini before Spoon came out. But I do like the production and the projection that he can give you. Is this a little bit of a reach based off of where they project him to go? It might be, but I have seen John Schneider reach for guys with less production in college. LJ Collier is the name that just blinks in my head. This is a guy that gives you tools, right? Strengths. What do the Seahawks typically like to do in the build up to the NFL draft? They like guys that go to the Senior Bowl and have a good performance at the Senior Bowl. Gabe Jackus was one of the highlights from the Senior Bowl. Did very well in individual drills and was seen as a riser coming out of that. He's very athletic. He has a relative athletic score, the RAS, of a 9.59. That ranks 93 out of 2,239 edge players from 87 to now that were put into the RAS measure. So he is a very athletic guy. And you look at the production. He had 11 sacks this year. He was close to double digit sacks the year before. This is a guy that I think you can plug in. You don't have to necessarily have him be that stud right away. And that's kind of the luxury of being where you're at, right? You paid a lot of your offensive weapons. I don't think they're going to look on the offensive side of the ball for this pick. I know you heavily want them to go corner. And
Yes,
I do think that they very well could go corner, but I do think corner has a deeper class than the
for
edge
sure.
does. And go ahead and get me an edge because you're looking at a Chinonwosu who's going into the last year of his deal, getting older. Lawrence is sitting there as well. He's an older guy. And then you've got Derek Hall who's coming up on free agency. So this guy can get some seasoning time behind them and
Mhm.
be able to develop. What does he need? What's the weakness of Gabe? He needs to gain strength. He's got to be more consistent against the run. That's kind of the downfall. Luckily, when you look at this Hawks team,
They're
their
very good against
defense,
the
run
run.
defense, they haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher in forever. If you've got to situationally bring in a guy to go get the quarterback, this is easy. Third down situational pass rusher for his rookie year while bulking up, getting that NFL frame, and learning the nuances of stopping the run in the NFL.
Yeah, yeah. I just I know it's not the Hawks MO. They've drafted two corners in the first round, I think ever. Marcus Trufant was a first rounder, no? Or second round?
I believe. I mean, they've taken first rounders in the past. I mean,
Sure. But
they had Bull. I think it was like Peter Bull. Not was it Peter Bullmer? Name similar to that. He was also kind of a first round
sure.
guy. They went after guys in the first round, but it's been a long time.
Right. And Spoon is like the first guy, the first corner they've taken in a long time.
And he was
And
in
it's
the
like
picked in the top 10, and the dude is a
a
year in,
certified
year out
stud.
Pro Bowler.
But the times are changing. The cornerback position just keeps getting better and better, it seems. And I am so sold on getting a better replacement. And it's Reek was great. Reek was great. But just the boneheadedness, and I think you get a rookie in Mike's hands that can shape and mold him into something huge for this team.
I addressed that later in the draft, and
I know you
I
did.
will. I mean, there's some of these things where I'm going to be doing a lot of harkening back into things that the Seahawks have done and some former players. And with Gabe Jackas, he reminds me a little bit of Boye Mafe just on the other side, right?
Sure.
Like I said, Boye Mafe was seen as pass rush potential, but very solid against the run. Whereas see Gabe Jackas is he excels in pass rush and needs help on the run. And like I said,
And
situational pass rushing can be very big for this team. And
you
that's
know,
the perfect place to implore him early in the season.
sure. And also you put him with the guys who are on the line. Like you learn a thing or two, right? Like you're expected to perform your first round pick. And also you're with possibly two, I wouldn't say Hall of Famers, maybe more. I wouldn't say one is either, but like two really good professionals throughout their entire career in Big Cat and DeMarcus Lawrence, like two of the best guys to probably learn from. So yeah,
Yeah, I think that could this be a little bit of a reach? I think I saw in a few different places, there's things that have him as a fringe first rounder. Some of them have him power ranked in like the 40s, and others say that he could be a second round pick. So
but
there's some variation that goes on when it comes to prospect ranking and
but
how
also
you
when you're
attack
the
it.
32nd pick in the draft, anybody can be a first rounder at that point.
True. And with this, I don't do any trades or anything like that, but I've said this before, not on pod, but I'll say it again. I think that Ty Simpson, if he's still hanging out, you could see the Hawks get some calls from people uh, near the top of the second round that are a little bit quarterback needy because getting a quarterback where you can have the fifth year option
It's
is
huge.
huge. And when you get it at the 32 spot, it the the salary for the first handful of years can really set your team up for success. So I think especially if you're targeting quarterback, which the Seahawks are going to know the guys that are calling if they're going to be targeting a quarterback, right? You can raise that asking price a little bit, and especially if you don't have to move back too crazy and be able to pick up potentially another second round or
The
third
only
round or
thing you
fourth round
just
pick. I think that you would be intrigued by that possibility.
you just don't answer the phone if the Cardinals come a calling.
Sure. I mean, if the Cardinals want Ty Simpson, they can have him. It will take more capital,
Sure.
baby.
Yeah,
Take more
because
capital. They're not
what
they're that's kind of the thing too when I talk about mock drafts, and luckily the Seahawks haven't really had to be in the position to draft a quarterback, but my older iteration of podcasting and fix your franchise, the biggest mistake is going and hunting that quarterback with not having a soft landing spot for him, especially when you're towards the end of the first round. Obviously, you've looked at it, some of these first round guys taken at the top of the class have made playoff runs. Trevor Lawrence has been to the playoffs, number one overall pick. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, right? These are all guys that have done that. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen. But then you also
Joe
have the likes
Burrow
of Josh Rosen, Zach Wilson.
can't say Ryan Tannehill because he actually was good for a handful of years.
No, I mean that's way further back. But I'm just talking about today's game. I mean Joe Burrow, obviously, but you look at a lot of times where some of these guys like Justin Fields, Mac Jones, they're put into
Sure.
positions where the team isn't built up around him enough. So let's say the Cardinals do come a calling for a quarterback, like go ahead. They don't have enough team built up around them to really make that push right now. All right, let's
Sure.
go to the second round. Second round, pick 64. Who do I have? The Hawks selecting.
Mike Washington Jr., running back out of Arkansas.
6 foot one, 223 pounds. So I said that I was going to be doing a lot of relatable things for the Seahawks. Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet. What round were they drafted in?
The second.
The second. And what I like about Mike Washington is production, right? Last year at Arkansas, 167 carries, 1,070 yards, averaged 6.4 yards per carry, had 8 touchdowns. Also was probably his most prolific pass catching season, which not saying much. Arkansas is a very run heavy team, but he did factor into the pass catching game. 28 catches, 226 yards. That's an 8.1 average, and he did have one receiving touchdown on the year.
The best thing about that pick, if they do go running back in this spot, is it's not like he'll get carries for sure, but you're kind of set right now with. I mean, I wouldn't say set, but
No,
until
you're not.
Shard gets back, I think that you're okay with what you got.
Manuel Wilson has had injury concerns. George Lonnie's had injury concerns. Kenny McIntosh had injury concerns. I mean,
Yeah.
Velus Jones is a converted wide receiver who's only gotten carries and mop up time. Cam Akers bounced around plenty of teams. Like, in no world are you set right now while Charbonnet is recovering from injury. What I like about Mike Washington Jr. is by most outlets, he is the third or fourth highest rated running back in this class. There's a lot of 1-2 with Love and Price, the Notre Dame backfield. And I've even seen a lot of people mocking Price to the Hawks at the end of the first round. I don't think that's going to happen because as a backup in college, and when you look at when the Hawks have reached for some guys, they've like Rashad Penny, right, in the first round. Rashad Penny was phenomenal at San Diego State, a little bit of a lesser school, set a ton of records. His athleticism was absolutely off the charts, but he also had the production to back it up. And even when you look at some of the other second rounders, like Christian Michael, he didn't necessarily have that one elite skill, but his production in the SEC, or it could have been the Big 12 when A&M was, it was years ago. So with all the realignments, I don't exactly remember when Christian Michael, if they were in the SEC yet or not. But getting big production in the Big 12 or the SEC is a big thing to do as a running back, right? What you get out of Mike Washington is I've seen comparisons to being like a smaller version of Marshawn Lynch. What are his best attributes? His vision, his power, and his lateral agility. What does that sounds like Marshawn Lynch, right? This guy is a
Yeah.
downhill runner. He is a one cut and go. He's going to be gap heavy, and that's exactly what the Seahawks really pushed last year and did them well. He's a guy that doesn't mind going between the tackles. He's a guy that can plow somebody over coming in at 223 pounds, right?
Mhm.
And the other thing that I love about Mike Washington, ball security. He spent 5 years, I think, technically, because he had a short where he played a few games, so ended up redshirting his first year. He had almost 600 carries in college. He had zero fumbles. Zero
It's pretty
in the
good.
SEC.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Zero.
Is he gonna be there at this pick? Most likely not in
I've
the
seen
grand
ones
scheme
where
of
he's not
things.
going until the third round. I legitimately,
But
I looked at a mock draft from a different site that I
that's
I've used it in
crazy.
the past, and when I was doing Fix Your Franchise, and I like it because it gives me a lot of information. I don't always love their picks, but they had Mike Washington available at the end of the third.
That's kind of crazy to me. But like in all realness, if the Hawks trade out of the first round, like there's a good chance they take a running back high in the second.
Yes,
There's a
but
very high chance.
but I'm not Trader John.
Yeah,
Sure.
no.
I'm going with the picks that we have.
Sure.
So the weakness that I see with him is it revolves around the pass game. He limited opportunities to show off what he can do at wide receiver. Did he do some stuff last year? Yes. Was he asked to do that often? No. And
Mhm.
also not the best in pass protection. It's not for a lack of trying. The dude's got a body, but when you're a run heavy team in Arkansas, right? You're worried about going and pounding the rock.
Yeah, you're not blocking the quarterback very often.
And it's a common theme with guys going into the NFL, unless you really came up and earned that starting spot and you just weren't the bell cow back, which
Mm,
Mike Washington was. You're not sitting in there because they want you to get out and make plays, right? When you look at
yeah.
these top running backs that come out,
I
they
mean, I
that like
mean,
no one has said that like Zeke and Genty and Christian McCaffrey and Jameer Gibbs, they weren't like, God, they're a pass pro, just otherworldly.
sure. I mean, like I've seen Sharp throw some pretty neat blocks, but you know, he's not a fullback who can truly move somebody, I guess.
Well, and the thing that I like about this is it gives you another early down option. We talked
Yeah.
about who's on roster right now, and for the beginning of the year, you're sitting in a spot where you have a lot of question marks on who can be a bell cow type back out of that entire group right
Mm,
now. Emmanuel Wilson has done it at times. Halani hasn't in the NFL, but did at Boise State. And no one else, I think Cam Akers is the only one that's been a premier back in the league. But the guy couldn't even carries. He was getting overshot by Velus Jones.
yeah.
So go ahead and get me a guy that he's going to be on a rookie deal. So if you sit here after the season, Sharp comes back, and you're like, we need to have Sharp back on this team next year, this gives you another option to kind of have that platoon style that you had before. The only difference is you're going to have one back that's a bruiser that's very good in the passing game in Zach Charbonnet, and then you're going to have another back that is also a bruiser, I think can develop. You're going to have two guys that are very similar, and when you really look at the history of the Hawks, they love to steamroll teams and wear them down by running the ball, and especially when they're running it effectively, it's great. And if you have two guys that can get downhill, they can make moves, they can still get you home run type plays by going between the tackles. It's fun. It's fun to have, right? It's a fun option to
Yeah.
have. All
All
right,
right.
ready to go to pick three?
Yeah.
All right, pick three. In round three, pick number 96,
Seahawks select Sicario Davis, cornerback, Washington.
Takario.
All right, yeah, that's fine.
6'4", 194 pounds, cornerback out of Washington. Only spent 1 year at Washington, was at Arizona before that. And there were thoughts that he could have come out the year prior if he had another good year. His sophomore year, he was an absolute stud at Arizona. Had to go 1 more year, stayed at Arizona, little bit of injury, a little bit of ineffectiveness. Transfers up to Washington, follows Jed Fish up here 1 year later. And there were a lot of people that weren't throwing it to Cario Davis. In college, last year he had 2 interceptions total in college. He had three total in college. He had 26 passes defended and 95 total tackles. What are his strengths? He is a very tall, long, athletic corner with an elite wingspan. It's tough to get over the top of him when he's in good position down the field. He's got very good athleticism. I think he ran a 4.4 140, and he's a willing tackler. Where are his weaknesses? Sometimes he can play a little bit too tall with that big frame, getting a little bit too high coming out of breaks, and also doesn't trust himself all the time. Sometimes he'll get a little handsy and get an interception. Who does this sound like to you?
I hope not to say the name that I'm thinking.
Go ahead.
Is it Reek Wallen?
Reek Woolen. So when drafted, he was Tyreek Woolen, converted wide receiver. Takario Davis is full-time cornerback and very toolsy, right? They're both big bodied, big wingspan. Does Reek have a little bit more speed? Sure. Does Takario Davis coming out of college have more polish? Yes. And a lot of people call him Tack Davis. You had Tyreek Woolen, Takario Davis, Reek Tack. Boom. Shorten their names down. Another similarity. But The reason I really liked Cario Davis is
He's a husky.
he's a Husky, but in watching Husky games, you had another cornerback that when they were both sophomores, they were pretty darn good tandem down in Arizona, and it was Ephesians Brysock, another tall, big-bodied corner. But Cario Davis is more athletic and has more polish. And Ephesians Brysock had some very good games for the Huskies in his 2 years there, but there were plenty of times where he was getting targeted because they did not want to throw at Tack Davis. And that is an ultimate sign of respect. We've seen that with Richard Sherman,
Sure.
right? So I'm not saying that Takario Davis is Reek Woolen or is Richard Sherman, but at the end of the third round, this is a very intriguing piece because the body type, right? You want an outside corner. You want to keep Spoon playing the slot primarily. Can he still play outside? Sure. But primarily, you want to play him in that slot position. Now, you've got Josh Jobe, who is not the biggest guy in the world, right? So you go and
No,
get an opposing figure on the other side that has good speed, and the dude could just knock balls down, right? And
I'm
he
just
does
here
have
for.
good ball skills.
I am here for dudes that are tall and that are long and that can get some good picks.
Yeah,
I
then
mean,
now we can't say you've been
you.
reeked anymore.
I
We can say,
know.
oh man, we could be like, you got tacked. Like, boom, put it on the board with a thumbtack. Just take pictures. We could take pictures and we could put them above the Coach Red sign. If they draft Tack Davis, I will print off photos of every interception for the year and I will put them above the signs.
Every year that he's on the team.
Yep. If it happens, I'll do it.
Every year.
That's a bet. Now you're like, God, I really love that Tack Davis pick in the third.
Shoot, they could just take two corners at this point.
Yeah. Did did I did my explanation of Tack Davis in the third help with my idea of going edge in the first
I
with
mean, I
Gabe
get it.
Jackus?
I understand it. I truly do. I could see them going one way or the other. I am just more on the cornerback side because you did lose a big piece in Rake, and
Mhm.
nobody else on this team can fill that spot. Nehemiah Pritchett in year three is not doing that. I'm sorry. He
Well,
had one really good coverage play against Marvin Harrison Jr. on the year, and like he's not shutting down dudes on the outside.
no, and that's what I like about Tack Davis, right? Can they work out some of the kinks that he's got by having him play in phase more?
100%.
Sure, right? And you look at Josh Jobe. Josh Jobe is a former UDFA. Is there
Yeah.
going to be someone that can also come in that can push Nehemiah Pritchett? But Nehemiah Pritchett, I think, staying on his team because he's a stone cold gunna on the punt team, like
Yes.
extremely good. So, but with Tech Davis, the polish is there. Like he's
Sure.
very polished.
Sure. And if things go according to plan, whatever, sure.
Yeah,
But
if
like
things go
I'm
according to
just
plan, my the wall behind me is going to look like a bunch of NFL quarterbacks that are not on the Seahawks. It's going to be the best. Maybe I'll put
yeah.
them on the side, like it'll say like wanted on the side wall over here. It's tough to tell
Yeah.
that I'm in the corner, but it'll say wanted and it'll just thumbtack them all up there.
I like that. I like that. All
All
right,
right.
let's get to the last pick.
Last pick, round six, pick 188.
Carver Willis, tackle out of Washington.
6'5", 303 pounds. He transferred just like Tack Davis. He transferred to Washington last year after being a starting left tackle for Kansas State. Was
Mhm.
one of the top tackles on the transfer portal. Got dinged up a little bit towards the end of the year, but plays a pretty darn good left tackle. You sit there and we go, all right, last year we paid both Abe Lucas and Charles Cross. Coach Red, why are you taking a tackle in this spot?
Because he's not gonna play tackle
He's
for the
going to play guard.
Seahawks.
He's going to play
He's gonna
guard.
he's gonna slot right in next to Abe Lucas, right there on the line.
That's my hope. So let's start with his weaknesses, right? He needs to gain a little bit more weight and keep it on, have it be good weight. And he's also going to be transitioning, I think, in the NFL to an interior position. Could he stick somewhere as a swing tackle? Sure. But I think his biggest potential is at guard. Do I think that he will, off the bat, be able to go compete for the starting position? Maybe. And that's because
Yeah.
he's a good technician. And another place that he was kind of weak at was getting locked on to an edge defender and giving up the B gap at times.
Mhm.
And he struggled sometimes with elite athleticism edge rushers. You move him to the interior, you pack on a few more pounds. The dude is tenacious in the run game, which you know the Seahawks want and love. And he's pretty darn good in the pass game, and you're not facing the higher level technicians primarily along the interior defensive line. Like you're not having to
Unless you're
sit there.
playing like a crazy, like it, unless you're like in the AFC West, you got like Max Crosby going
Well,
inside and outside, and
well, it's true, right? But you have that good technician. What he does is he finishes blocks too. Like the dude's mean and I like him. Like he's
but
just he did good things for the Huskies, but even watching him then before I read some of his comps, kind of when I was at this point of the draft, I'm just looking for guys that I know. But then I was like, you know what? I'm looking at him. They're still listing him as tackle. Go look at his profile, and I'm like, yeah, they're saying he needs to transition into guard. And I'm like, I kind of thought that during his time at Washington. Like, he's a good left tackle in college, but I think he's going to need to make that move. Is he an elite athlete? No, right? But he's a very good technician. And Kent, or not Kent State, Kansas State and Washington played under played under Jed Fish, who's put a lot of guys in the league. If we're being completely honest, he spent time in the league on different NFL staffs, and I think that Carver Willis is a very intriguing pick because do I think they could look at a safety? Sure. I did one mock draft and I couldn't find the guy again. It was like a safety out of Ole Miss. And I ran a couple of drafts today just to make sure I'm like, all right, a majority of the time is Gabe there? Yes, he is. Okay, I'm gonna take him. It was a lot more sporadic with the other corners. Tack Davis was available most times, like every time when I got to the third round. Mike Washington was about 60% available when I was doing my drafts. So there was another safety that I thought would be kind of intriguing, but I did a little look at him, but that was a few days ago. So I decided to land on Carver Willis, someone that I could talk a little bit more intelligently about, and a position that I think they do need more depth at, right? You got Gray Zabel holding it down. Be interesting to see what they're going to do along the offensive line. Do you want to move Jalen Sundell as an athletic guy out to guard and let Olo Timmy roll? Are you going to keep the, oh no, Anthony Bradford? I know he's still on the team, isn't he?
you're still on the team.
And then you got
Hey, like,
Christian.
don't get me wrong, Anthony Bradford did good things at points in the air, but it's all of the really bad ones.
Yeah. So when you look at it, it's not the area that you necessarily have a lack of depth in, but I think that you have a lack of options for starting guys. So if you can bring
Yeah.
him in, I think the upside's there a little bit higher than even, what was it,
Well,
Mason Richmond, who
yeah,
we
and,
drafted
and
last year.
who's the other guy that we got out of UConn?
That's Christian Haynes.
Like, I think he was hurt most of last year or something.
He
I don't
was,
know. And
and
then just
he's never
they,
really been able to seize that spot ever.
yeah. And like, I don't know about him going into year three as well. Like,
So give me a guy that can maybe make him expendable, if you will.
yeah. Yeah.
So those are my picks. And when
Or-
you really look at it, I was able to address probably some of the biggest positions of needs in our mind. I think the only other one that you'd like a little bit more depth at is safety.
Yes.
But I think that you already have one of the highest paid wide receiver rooms in the game. You got a good
I
quarterback
also,
room. You got
also
a good
don't
tight end
mind
room.
I also don't mind their safety room with what they've brought back, especially guys who were in system and know, and they've performed well for the Seahawks in the past. So a Ty Okada and a Julian Love, it all things healthy, right?
Yeah, those two are great playing that playing the over the top type roles, and then Nicky Manwari creating havoc all over the field. And yeah, that's why I'm like, you're not gonna go get another linebacker. You're
No,
good there.
yeah,
Like you're not going D tackle. Good there. Thought about center potentially, but it's like, no, you got two guys that are very capable
I
and worked
just
well.
I I just think you keep it how it is. You probably pay. Uh, you said his name earlier. I forgot already. Center at some point when his contract's
Sundell.
up. Yeah, I like Sundell a lot.
Well, and that's the thing too, is he's super athletic, so like the dude can play guard for you if needed,
He
right?
can, but I think the tandem of him and Zabel playing next to each other is also what you need.
Oh, and that's why I'm just giving another guy because I mean
Yeah.
we had the kid from Utah for the year and then he didn't make the team last year. The
The,
big
the
mountain,
the the name that I can't pronounce.
like
Yeah.
Satao Lumea.
Yeah.
So putting another guy in that room to compete, I think is good. And Carb Willis has a lot of starting experience. He was 2 years ago was honorable mention Big 12. Last year he was an honorable mention Big 10 tackle.
Mhm.
So there's acumen there and a guy that I think will excel by moving to guard and could be an easy backup with the potential to be an above average starter just by being a technician.
All right. Well, good draft, coach.
Well, if you thought that was good, you can go tell me about it on social media. If you think it was bad, well, don't tell me on social media because then it might hurt my feelings. Just kidding. You can tell me if you think it's bad too. And it's easy. You just find me on X at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, leave a comment or two. Kane, where you at?
You can find me over on Twitter, Kane2406, TikTok, Kane0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. False, false, false. Do it, freaking do it.
And as always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, peeps.
Peace.